Hello everybody, today I want to color with you a page in Flora and Fauna by Trolle. This is the Dutch edition of Flora in English, and I was already working on a page and I thought to color some elements with you together on camera. So I did already some work on the page. And because are some repetitive elements, I want to show you how I did the wheat over here, the flower, and maybe we can do a little bit of the mouse and the butterfly together. So the only thing I did at this point was covering the background. So the background is done with soft pastels. So everything I used will be linked in the description box, so you can see all the brands and all the things I'm using. So soft pastels in the background, and I did a gradient from dark green, light green, yellow and orange. I covered all the elements with the soft pastels as well. Then I erased some clouds in the background, and I erased the soft pastels on the elements I want to color. So that was very easy. And then I based the elements with water-based markers. Okay, so this wheat is already based, but it's very light, and because we have a little bit of yellow in the background, it isn't very visible. But I used for this the Faber-Castell Pitt Artist pen, the brush one, the ivory 103. So all the wheat is done with this marker. Then the green of the flowers is done with the Stabilo pen 68, and the color I used was number 63. So they don't have color names, but it's only a number, so 63. And then I based the mouse. Yes, the mouse I did with the Stabilo pen 68 number 26. So that's this one. And then for the flower, I don't have the marker with me, but it was the Stabilo pen, and I think it was cadmium red, if I'm not mistaken. So I will link the number in the description. So you only need 4 water-based markers, soft pastels, whatever you have. And then I tried to limit myself to use as less coloring pencils as possible. So I chose for this paper my Faber-Castell Polychromos pencils, and I only used 5 coloring pencils for everything. So we're going to use not a lot of pencils, but as you see, it gives a very nice result. I have very small coloring pencils. I will use a pencil extender in a moment, but I want to show you the numbers. So I have sepia, dark sepia 175. I have the permanent green olive 167. I have green gold 268. I have the nougat 178. And the last one is the deep red 223. So 5 coloring pencils for the whole page. And then I used a little bit of a white gel pen, so you can use whatever you have, a Posca, Jelly Roll white. I am using the Uni-Ball signo, but the broad tip. And I think I'm going to use a black fineliner for the butterfly. I'm not sure, but I think I'm going to use this as well. So those are the only materials you'll need to do this page. Okay, so I'm going to put my coloring pencils on my extender and we'll get started. So for the soft pastels, I used like the applicators you can buy for the pen pastels. I think they're very good, but you can do this with some cotton pad or something like that. the areas are big enough, so you can have the option, whatever you have. I thought the orange was a nice touch because the flowers are a little bit based with like an orangey red. So yeah, that's why I chose this this background. Okay, so water-based markers. The only thing I'm going to base is a little bit of yellow in the flower, and I think I'm going to do just this, the first and the third section of the butterfly, and this as well, and yeah, maybe here in the middle of the butterfly as well. I'm not sure how I'm going to color it, but water-based markers, if you apply it, leave it a little, give it a little bit of a drying time, like a couple of minutes, because when you go on top of it with coloring pencils, it will give you some denting in the paper. So just make sure you give it a little bit of a drying time. That's mostly when I am basing everything with water-based markers, and then I go on top with coloring pencils, and not every object separately. And I use a little bit of paper behind my page for some denting or transfer of this image to the next one. Okay, so for the wheat, I am going to use 3 coloring pencils. I'm going to use the permanent green, the nougat, and the green gold. Okay. The sharpener I am using is this one. I just bought this one last week, and it is very good. You have like the little golden sharpeners from M plus R. I don't know how you say that in English. But you have those separate golden ones, and this is actually the same one, but just with a container. So this is very, very good. So yeah, if you have like those small pencils, I have the Dull 133, I think it is called. But when you have a pencil extender, it's very hard to go in that pencil sharpener. So I use these, but I actually use this one quite a lot because it is compact, it's quiet. Yeah, it's a very, very good one. And I think you can replace the blades. I think this was like €3, so very cheap. And you have them in all the colors you want, even with a transparent container if you prefer. Okay, so back to the coloring. The first color I'm going to use is the nougat, so the brown one. And I'm going to place the dark color in the center of every section. So Polychromos is a layering pencil, so don't press too hard for the beginning because we're going to lay the green on top of the brown. So just do it very softly, and you actually make a V. So don't make sure you go in a V and not in a straight line, because then the result is going to look not as well. So when you're adding shadows, take the curve of the element you're using. So don't do this. This is not going to give you a great result. It's going to give you a very flat object and not a round object. So this is a round element, so just follow the lines. You can do this with flowers as well, so try to make it as curvy as possible. My heating element is working in the background, so I hope it's not bothering you too much. So if you're working together with me, please tag me on Instagram. If you post a picture, then I know that you did it together, and then I can see what you came up with. It's always nice to know people are following your tutorials or getting some inspiration of your tutorials. Then you know they're worth the time and effort. It's quite hard for me to find the time to do this page together with you, but because I have some repetitive elements, I thought this was a great way to show you how I did one of these wheat things, and then you can do all the rest on your own. It's the same principle, so yeah. And now I had already a little bit of time to choose my color combinations and to see how the result is going to be. So it's easier for you to see what the ending result will be, and it's easier for me to plan out these videos. So yeah, give me a comment if this is something you like, how I am filming this. Just one element for you and then all the rest of camera. I think this is going to be something I can manage every month. Okay, and then for this, I don't know what it is in English, this where it is attached to. So I did a little bit of brown here on the top. And then where the tail of the mouse is overlapping, I'm going to give it a little bit of a shadow as well. So a little bit on the top and on the bottom. As you see, the green of the soft pastels is a little bit on the wheat, but it doesn't matter. It's a color you have in the page as well, so it's not a big deal if you cannot erase it 100%. Just leave the color and it gives you a little bit of a more dimension. Okay, and for this element, it is a very small leaf, so I'm going to take one side and I'm going to make it lighter to the top. So in this case, I'm going to use the right side and I'm going to give it a little bit of color and make it paler to the other side. So I start off with a medium pressure and then I release the pressure on my pencil. So you have actually a quite good soft transition. Okay, that's the first step. Then I'm going to take my green gold. Okay, and then I'm going to do the transfer between the brown and the ivory color we have already put there as a base with our water-based markers. So I just make sure with this color that that you don't see any line. So everything is blended as best as it's possible. The smaller the elements, the easier it is to blend. The bigger the elements, the more effort you will need for blending. So make sure the top is still uncolored. So it is the pale color of our water-based marker that is going through. So instead of using a fourth color, the fourth color is going to be our water-based marker. And I'm going over the brown and leave a little bit of transition to the white ivory. Is that a yellow? I think so. Or is it still a white? I am not going to put some music on this video because I don't like it when people do that. I much more prefer to play my own playlist when I'm coloring. I don't mind the background music when it is like 2 or 3 minutes, but when you have to listen to it for 1 hour, it can be very boring. Okay, and then over here again, the transition between the brown and our water-based markers with our golden yellow, no, green gold, I'm sorry, it's green gold. And we leave a little bit of the water-based markers in the middle, so that is going to be our lightest color. And like over here, when you don't have a lot of space to leave the water-based marker, just go over the whole thing. And then for the leaf, again, go over the brown and do the transition to the water-based marker. So I start off with a medium pressure and then I release. It's a layering pencil, so if you think that the color isn't brown enough, you can always go over it again, as long as you don't have maximum pressure, because you're going to damage the paper. You're not going to get any color on your paper anymore. Okay, perfect. And then for the extra depth, I'm going to use the permanent green olive. So this is going to be our darkest color here, just in the center of the wheat. So just follow the lines and with a medium pressure, just give it a little bit of extra depth in the darkest part of your wheat. The reason why I am doing this with green is because I like different colors in one element. So I'm not going to use just browns or just greens on element. I try to mix it up a little with the colors I am using in all the rest of the page. It makes it a little bit more cohesive, for me at least. But you can totally do this with a darker brown or something, but I think I much more prefer to add an extra color. I did it with to start off just with the browns, but the greens give it a little bit more of an extra. So just at the base of every element. Okay, and then again a little bit at the base. So the green we have over here for the with the soft pastels, we couldn't erase 100%. It doesn't matter because we're going to throw a little bit of green on the, what is it, a stem as well. Okay, and then a little bit on the leaf over here again, just on the outside of our darkest parts. Okay, and because you see this is a little bit darker than this, on the leaf I'm going to go in again with the nougat. So I'm just going in with a little bit more brown to darken up our darkest parts of the leaf. The green is going to shine through because it is a layering pencil. It's not opaque, so okay. I think this is okay. If you want, you can still go in with a little bit of green. If you think it is too brown, you can play with it however you want. Just like that. Okay, so this was the wheat. I did a little bit of white gel pen on it as well. So I take the Uni-Ball Signo, the broad tip, and I just pick some elements on the wheat and I add a little bit of white on the top of the wheat. So not all, but just a couple. So like this, a little bit more on the top, and then you go down, you skip some of those elements. Okay, and then I do a little bit over here on the lightest part of the stem and a little bit just on the curve of the on the leaf. That's it. So that white gel pen gives a little bit more dimension, so I use it all the time, especially when you're working with a water-based marker, which is a little bit more darker to begin with, like the green. I use a white gel pen to give a little bit more highlights. Okay, so that was the wheat. Now we're going to do the green. This is like the greenery of the flower, and I used two colors for this. So I used the permanent green olive and I will use the dark sepia. So two colors. I start off with the darkest color. I mostly do that. Okay, so again, choose one side you're going to put your darkest color to. So I'm going to again put it on the right side. I think it is the easiest for me to take the right side because I'm right-handed. Then I can release my pressure as I go further away from my hand. I think it is the easiest way to color, but you can do whatever you want. We don't have a light source or something we have to take in consideration, so but I think this is the easiest way. And again, follow the line. This is a round element again, so follow the line. So don't make it like a straight line, make it a little bit more curvy. Okay, then we're going to take the base and add the darkest color over here. Then again, this is overlapping, so I'm going to add some darkest color over here. And here at the base, again, some dark sepia. And on the leaf, I'm going to do it in the middle. So just take the, I go from the left and I release my pressure. And then I go to the right and then I release my pressure as well. I think this is the easiest way to color something in the middle, and your center is going to be quite dark because you're always starting there. I don't know if I'm explaining it very well. Like this. Okay, and then we're going to take our permanent green olive, and we're going to do the transition between the dark sepia and the green of our water-based marker. So just make sure there is no line anymore. This is such an easy way to color. I like to base with water-based markers because then you can map out your colors, and then I just take some coloring pencils and I try to limit them as much as I can. And then your page is going to be very cohesive. The more colors you're adding to the page, it's more complex for you, and you have so many colors that you're not going to get a very cohesive result. If you're putting green in all the elements, everything is coming together. So you can do this with browns, grays or blacks, but it's going to dull your page. So that's the reason why I am just taking colors from other elements and mix it together. Okay, perfect. So that's it. And then again, take your white gel pen, and where your lightest color is going to be, I'm just going to give it a little bit of an highlight. I can totally overdo this. I like to put a lot of white gel pen on my pages. Sometimes it's a little bit overkill, but I really don't mind. I really like to do this. You can choose how much gel pen you're going to pick on a page or how many. So yeah, that is our part of the flower. Then we're going to do this thingy. I did this with the deep red, and again the darkest part is going to be the permanent green olive. So red and green are complementary colors, so if you mix these two together you have like a brown. So if you want to shade a red object, you can always use green for the darkest parts. It's going to give a very nice result. And it's not going to dull your red. So that's a very great tip. Use complementary colors to shade. Okay, so this part of the flower is in the front. So everything that is behind the leaf, I'm going to do a little bit darker. So this is behind this leaf. So this is further away. So I am going to add a little bit of shadow on this part of the petal. So this is behind. Again, follow the lines of the flower. Don't make it too straight. Okay, so this part is behind this petal. So I'm going to add a little bit of shading to this part of the flower. If you see it differently, color it differently. If you think this is something that goes in front of it, just color the flower how you see it. I don't think there is a right or wrong way to color a flower. I'm not an expert in it, so... Okay. Then this petal is going underneath this petal and this petal, so I'm going to give it a little bit of shadow over here. Like this. And this is in front of this. So I'm going to do a little bit of shadow over here. And this petal is behind this one, so I'm going to add a little bit of shadow over here. This is how I try to shade a flower. I don't know if that is the correct way, but in my head this is the most logical way to color. Okay, so now we have the shadows of the petals. Now we're going to take our same pencil, and you have some lines Maria already drew in, and I'm just going to emphasize the stripes on the flower. Also over here where we added some shadows. This. You can use any pencil brand you have, but I only own the Polychromos and the Prismacolor pencils, so yeah, I mostly use the Polychromos pencils. I started off with them and I'm most comfortable with them, so okay, that's it. And then everywhere we put our shading of the petals, on the edge I'm just going to add a little bit of the green, just to give it a little bit more of a shadow. So again, don't try to make it too straight, all the lines, just give it a little curve or something. And as you see, you have a very nice shadow with the green on top of the red. So this is just a very light pressure. So we just need a little bit of color, not a lot. This is just for some dimension in the flower. Like this. And if you want, you can go back over it to blend it a little bit more with the red and go over the green again. Like this would go a little bit around the petal, so it's not just here at the bottom. You don't have to do this step, but I like to blend in everything again, and when I see that the blending isn't 100%, I fix it a little bit with the middle color again. Like this. I'm going to add a little bit of red here in the bottom, because this is opening at this side. So a little bit of red. Okay, that's it. And then we're going to take our white gel pen again, and we're going to add some highlights on the flower. Just put the highlight wherever you feel like. Mostly I just do it on the top of the petals. Like this. That's it, very easy. Okay, and then we still have the mouse and the butterfly. So I have no idea what I'm going to do. Because we already have browns, I think I'm going to use the browns for the mouse and maybe a little bit of red for the butterfly as well. I just want to use the 5 colors, so okay. I think I'm going to use just these 2 colors. So I'm trying to leave a white mouse because I think he stands out a little bit. If I'm going to do it completely brown, it's going to be, yeah, maybe a little bit too flat because we use the same colors here. So I'm just going to make his nose, his ears, and maybe the feet a little bit darker, and all the rest I'm going to leave it white, I think. Okay, so the tops of the ears are going to be a little bit brown. I want a very light mouse, so, and then maybe a little bit on the nose. A little bit on the, how is this, paws? Hands and feet of the mouse. A little bit over here, and then here on the feet. Not a lot, just a little touch of color. Okay, and then we're going to take, this was the nougat, by the way, and this is going to be the gold, green gold. So a little bit. So very light pressure. You don't have to use a lot. This. I am just improvising over here. I'm not an expert on doing fur, so I'm not going to try to make it a furry mouse. This is just going to be flat coloring, but with a little bit of just a little bit of color. Okay, and then we still have the fact that the mouse is behind this stem, so we can add a little bit of shadow as well. So we can do that again with the nougat. So just a little bit on this side. Like this. And here is also a little shadow of the hand. Like this. And then the green gold. to blend it out a little bit. So you can perfectly color a coloring page with 4 water-based markers and 5 pencils. Okay, and we're going to do the base of this shadow area with the dark sepia as well. Just a little touch. So this is darker than the mouse itself. Not a lot, just a little bit. Like this. Oh, I forgot this little part over here. Okay, like that. If you want, you can still go over it with the nougat again for the darker shade of the mouse. I was a little bit too light, but you can always darken it up. Lighten it up is a lot harder, or you have to erase everything and start over. Okay, and then we still have the pink of the mouse and the butterfly, and I think I'm going to do that with the nougat and the red. I'm going to use those colors for shading of the ears and the tail. So I'm going to start off a little bit with the red, just a little bit. The hands as well. Just a very, very soft touch, because we still want it to be like a pink and not a red mouse. Everywhere it is overlapping, I'm going to do it again a little bit with the red. Like this. Over here as well. And I'm going to shade with the nougat at the base a little bit. Like this. If you think these areas aren't dark enough, you can use a dark sepia, and you just go in where the tail is underneath the wheat. Like this. Okay, and if you think it isn't red enough, you can still go in with a little bit of red and make it pop a little bit more. So it all depends on the pressure you used in your layering, if you want to add a little bit more color or not. Like this. Okay. Perfect. Then we have our white gel pen, and I'm just going to put a little bit of white on the lightest part of the tail, a little bit on the top, okay, and maybe a little bit on the paws. Not a lot, just a little bit on the nose. Okay, and then on the eyes I always do 2 dots. I don't know why, but I think it's cuter when it is 2 dots. Okay, and then we have the butterfly. So I'm going to take my black pen and I'm just going to color these small detailing in black. I always do that when I don't know which color to use. I use a black fineliner. Like this, and maybe over here. And then these two we did in the ivory, and I'm going to add this one in black as well. Like this. It's hard to color when you cannot move the book. I'm always flipping my book around, but for the filming purposes, I try to leave it still. And then here I'm just going to give it a little bit of extra for the stripes. Okay. And then for the butterfly, I'm going to use the same combination as we did for the mouse, because this was the same base color. So just to make it easy on myself and yeah, make not another coloring combination, I'm going to do the same thing over here. I'm going to use the darkest shade first. It really doesn't matter, but mostly I start with my darkest color. And then I blend in the two colors. I think that's the easiest way, for me at least. So just at the base of the butterfly. Like this. Okay, and then I go on top of it with the deep red over the brown as well. Okay, I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. Like this, and I don't think the dark is dark enough, so I'm going to take the green, the permanent green olive, because it is red, so I'm going to try to add a little bit of green. But this isn't showing off very well. So I'm going to take the dark sepia and just darken up the base of the butterfly. like this. So I think the red isn't red enough, so I'm just going to go over it a little bit more with the red. That's the beauty of a layering pencil. You can always add more. I think with the Prismacolors, you can have a little bit of layering, but once you reach 4 layers, it's done. Like this. Yeah, I went a little bit on top of the yellow part, but that doesn't matter. And then maybe for the ivory, I'm going to take my green and I'm just going to do it at the base. Like this. And a little bit on the side of the butterfly, like this. And then the green gold to blend it in a little bit. Then we actually have all the coloring pencils in our butterfly and also in the mouse. Like this. And then again our white gel pen, and I'm going to add a little bit of white dots here in the center of the black, just to lighten it up a little bit. Like this. Okay, and maybe a little bit at the base over here of the butterfly, a little bit over here. You can choose whatever you want to do with the white gel pen. Just put it somewhere it feels good, and then maybe a little bit here on the tops. It isn't a lot, but it gives you a little bit of a dimension. And maybe a little dot here. Like this. Okay, so I think this page is finished. So this was a very quick and easy page. So no glitter, 4 water-based markers, 5 pencils, and a little bit of soft pastels in the background. So this was my completed page in Flora and Fauna by Maria Trolle. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you are interested in more of these color alongs. Leave me a comment what you liked in this video and what you prefer to do it otherwise in the next videos. I will see what I can do, and I will see you in the next video. Bye bye.